ancient Chinese secret.
Welcome to the PJ Show. Let's rock and roll. Rock and roll. Come on, everybody. Let's lose control. Brad and John never wants to follow. Get ready for the ride. It's the PJ Show. PJ Show.
John Combest, how did it get to be the 19th of January already? Doesn't it seem like just like last week it was Christmas or something like that?
It seems like it was just a week ago that you were going into a hospital and having an organ removed. And as we know, it was your brain. What would you do with the brain if you had one? Congratulations to you for not playing that stupid clip yet in 2026.
Hold on a minute. Now that you said that, let me think. Can I find it? Where is it?
What did I start?
I can't find it.
That's good, Brad. Let's just leave that one in 2025. Let's call that the gallbladder of 2026. We're just going to leave it in 2025.
But I have a new one. You ready for the new one?
I'm ready, yeah.
Let's not make a mockery of this proceeding.
See, John, let's not make a mockery of this proceeding. Okay? You know what that was?
It's the kind of quote that makes me want to climb a ladder. It makes me want to go to Home Depot, position some ladders for a campaign commercial, and then run for U.S. Senate.
Whatever that could be. That is John Combest, C-O-M-B-E-S-T. I spell his name because you need to put that into your browser, into your smartphone, whatever you're using. You need to put that into your Trash 80 if you still have one of those. John, you know what a Trash 80 is?
Yeah, it's a collection of women that you used to drop some affection off in back in the 1970s.
No, the Trash 80 was one of the very first computers made by Radio Shack. They called it TRS 80, and so everybody called him a Trash 80. Okay, so John Combest puts together this amazing website, and every single day, he's never missed a day in 24 plus years now. He puts together all these links of things you should know that are going on in the state of Missouri, things that he has curated, that he's called out to be important things that are important to you and I being residents of the state of Missouri. If you don't live in the state of Missouri, you don't give a poop. But if you're in the state of Missouri, this is important stuff. What we do is we bring this guy in every morning.
I'm Casey Kasem.
And he counts them down. And we start off with...
In third place.
We spend a lot of time on our show talking about the use of artificial intelligence. And one of the things that I've had questions about is, how do people use it effectively in education? Like, Brad, we know that you use it to make wacky videos. We know that you use it to make fantastic songs. But how is it used in schools? Well, the Post-Dispatch's Monica Obradovic, we've cited a lot of her stories lately. Monica has a piece up today called How St. Louis Area Schools Are Integrating AI from Middle School to Higher Ed. I wanted to mention this today because not only does it marry AI, but also, as you can imagine, public education and people getting to be maybe a little nervous Nelly about how AI might be used in schools. Monica uses an example of a classroom in the Lindbergh School District where a gentleman who's a middle school teacher, just to cut to the chase, he has students begin their lesson. They can scan using their school-supplied iPads, scan a QR code, and the chat bot that he designed will go through and answer basic questions about the assignment. So as I read this, Brad, it offers students the opportunity, students who might be a little bit nervous about admitting they didn't understand their pre-calculus question, or their pre-algebra questions. The story notes that students who might be a little bit more introverted might be more likely to ask questions of an AI chatbot than they would have, raising their hand in class and feeling a little bit silly or awkward in front of their middle school friends. So as you can imagine, folks in Missouri, particularly lawmakers, get a little nervous about this because when you think about asking ChatGPT questions, you think, well, is a middle schooler going to ask them any sort of inappropriate questions, maybe a little bit of AI trolling of silly topics? And as you can imagine, some of these school districts have set some parameters around which AI chatbots students can use their school assigned equipment for. So Monica does a good job here breaking down where some of the districts are in this stuff. Like you have Hancock Place, you have Lindbergh, you have Rockwood. And I'll also call out Several area school boards have adopted a model policy from the Missouri School Boards Association, which requires districts to have at least one, quote, AI coordinator, end quote, to determine best practices and create an AI use plan. And also, this past summer, Missouri DESE, the Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, issued guidance on the technology. So as I read Monica's piece, Brad, this is generally a case of the state says, we know that this tool is important. We know that it can help take a little bit of burden off teachers in terms of a classroom setting and have a chat bot answer some questions, 17 questions at a time instead of just taking one at a time in front of a classroom. And of course, we're going to have state legislators wanting to look over the shoulder of these schools and make sure that kids aren't using this technology inappropriately.
Interesting. Over the weekend, I was listening to NPR. You'd think I'd learned my lesson, but I was listening to NPR, and they were talking about this, about how things in school are changing, and they were saying how it's not good because of the fact that the kids aren't learning the basics of a lot of things. They're just going, just go to ChatGPT and knock it out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, do you think, and were they applying that to any one specific topic?
No, they were talking about generally, and it was, some of the things they said I agreed wholeheartedly with because of the fact that it just gets too easy. There's a whole thing in college now. I don't know if you've heard this. There's some program that some of the professors are using where they can go in and they can ingest a student's paper and they can, this was done on ChatGPT or Claude or something like that. And then they get their hands whacked or something like that. I don't know. I use it all the time. Matter of fact, it's an incredible tool here at the radio station. But to the point where the interesting aspect of it is, if you really get into it, it's all about the prompts, and that's what you have to be good at. You have to be good at the prompts. It's sort of like garbage in, garbage out. But if you put, I
was just going to say, I'm sorry to interrupt, but I remember, Brad, at a certain school district, elite school district, I remember having a teacher in elementary school that was telling us about computers. Yes. And she always said garbage in, garbage out.
But that's true in so many things. It's true in politics. Garbage in, garbage out.
Hey, speaking of garbage, we got to get to story number 2.
Let's go.
Up a notch to number 2.
Have you ever dealt with a government bureaucrat or official? Maybe, Brad, you go up to an assessor's office and they're not wearing a peekaboo dress. Maybe they're just a dunderheaded, slow government employee. Maybe you go to a city council meeting and you see a bunch of frumpy Oompa Loompas up there, blowhards, trying to make themselves feel important. Or maybe it's just somebody at a revenue office taking way too long to process your paperwork. Brad, have you ever dealt with a government official and thought, freaking idiots?
John, I'm eating my Little Debbie's. Why do you think I go to Jefferson City to have my license plates renewed?
Because there are no idiots in Jefferson City. That's a well-established fact for hundreds of years.
No, the local fee offices, I technically, I guess they're not government employees, so I'm wrong on that because they're employed, they're private people that own those franchises. Yeah, I've had this all the time. I mean, you see, anybody, well, I'll tell you this, John, have you ever had to go down to Clayton in the government center since the COVID thing hit, since they've completely redone the way you do things?
I have not, Brad. And what makes you so, before we get to what we're actually trying to talk about here and you finish your Little Debbie, what makes you so mad about the kiosks, the old process, the new process? We haven't talked about it yet this month. Go ahead, Brad.
It's the same thing in St. Charles County. It used to be, if you wanted to
go to be able to take the elevator up, you go in. Now they have an iPad up there. And one time a person told you, we do this, we love it because it means people can't come in here and mess with us. Brad, you go back on mute and you finish your Little Debbie, okay? I got a story to tell.
Okay, go ahead.
Last Thursday, O'Fallon Mayor Bill Hennessy, he was upset about a vote that the council took on a development project. We'll get to that development project in just a minute. After the vote was taken, Mr. Hennessy was caught on a hot mic, calling four members of the O'Fallon City Council, quote, a bunch of freaking idiots. And as you can probably guess, Brad, with your Little Debbie stuffed mouth, he did not actually use the word freaking. He said the bad word. This story is brought to us by Ethan Colbert of the St. Louis Post-Dispatch. Bill Hennessy felt a little bit of regret, and he sent an email out to people where he apologized for his use. That email was obtained by the Post-Dispatch. I wonder which council member or member sent that to Mr. Colbert. Hennessy wrote, "I want to apologize for my actions and words last night. It was unprofessional of me and my office. I will make a public apology next Thursday at the council meeting. Again, I apologize, and I guarantee it will not happen again." Hennessy could not be reached by phone for further comment. So what was Bill so mad about? Well, the council took a vote. 4 members of the city council balked at the city's recommendation that they approve a 20-year, 100% property tax abatement for the youth sports facility that would include indoor basketball and volleyball courts. Brad, this is going to be would be located near Bryan Road and Veterans Memorial Parkway. So it was previously going to be labeled the O'Fallon Sports Center, and now it would be called the O'Fallon Playground Commons. That sounds a lot more playful, doesn't it?
So is this a private development? Is that what this is?
Yeah, so I think so. So the story goes on to say, Mr. Colbert goes on to say that really the linchpin of this whole thing is a gentleman named Aman Kumar Patel. And apologies if I didn't pronounce that correctly, but I believe it's Anand Kumar Patel, said he plans to hire recruiters to woo tournament organizers and sports team managers into bringing their tournaments to the facility. Brad, if you happen to recognize the last name Patel, well, it's a common Indian name. And that's, of course, Dot Indian and not Feather Indian. Mr. Patel also owns Dogwood Social House, which would relocate from Highway K to the proposed complex. So in other words, there would be 2 new hotels that would be built on this complex, and they'd get 100% tax abatement for 27 years. So 4 members of the city council voted against this proposal, which elicited the ire of Mayor Hennessy. Now, I know that we're up against time here, Brad, and I certainly want to allot some time for story number 1. Folks can read more about this proposed development at Bryan Road and Veterans Memorial Parkway by reading Mr. Colbert's piece. And I did not, because this story is only about municipal government. It's not found on johncombest.com, but folks can go to stltoday.com and search for O'Fallon or search for Hennessy and find the story.
Veterans Memorial Parkway, for your reference, John, is the South Service Road that runs all the way through St. Charles County. Matter of fact, if it's in St. Charles City, O'Fallon, St. Peters, Lake St. Louis, that South Service Road is Veterans Memorial Parkway. And by the way, I know Bill Hennessy personally. He's not like my buddy, like we don't go out to lunch or anything like that, but I know him. I see him at the chamber events. He's very, very, very proud of O'Fallon, and he takes things personally. I get it, because of the fact that he loves the city. If you know the crazy, he came in after a very bizarre, weird mayor who ran the city for a while, and just put things in chaos. He came in and really straightened things out, and has really done a good job. I get that he gets upset about stuff because he takes it personally. You know what I'm saying?
So you're saying he's passionate and we shouldn't be that worried about a little hot mic catching a hot mic moment?
Well, being in broadcasting, you learn that lesson way back when. How many sportscasters recently have we seen who've gotten, the play-by-play guys who've gotten, the heave-ho because of the fact that they thought the mic was off, but it wasn't. That's, you just got to learn.
Always treat the mic as hot. Remember in the early days of our show when we would have listeners on the live stream tell us that our microphones were still on during the commercial break.
Right. Well, that was my screw up, but that's a whole other story. They were on way low. That was the whole thing. But
okay, hey, yeah, let's not split hairs. And you know who's not splitting hairs? Story number 1.
I thought you were talking about Hans Wyman, my buddy.
The number 1.
On Friday in C Block, we had a fantastic discussion, pardon me, about one of your most recent ideas, which is to change one of your stations into an all AI song station that could promote advertisers. And Brad, in that spirit, I thought of your idea this weekend when I read a brand new story in both the St. Louis Post-Dispatch and the Washington Missourian. And I reached out to the Gatlin brothers, pardon me, Larry Gatlin and his brothers. And I put together a few lyrics for you to consider. Are you ready, Brad?
Go ahead.
All the gold in Franklin County is in a bank at 200 West Main Street in L.B. Eckelkamp's name. So if you're dreaming about a new data center, it don't matter where you got zoning before. Franklin County's a brand new game. Word to the Gatlin brothers and L.B. Eckelkamp, friend of Brad Hildebrand. We might have a brand new Eckelkamp data center coming into Gray Summit. Did you happen to see the story, Brad?
Yes, John. And by the way, you have to note that it's L.B. Eckelkamp Jr., who is Buzz Eckelkamp's father. Buzz Eckelkamp is the current president. His real name is Louis B. Eckelkamp III. His father is Louis B. Eckelkamp Jr. So that's what the story's about.
Oh, okay. Yeah, hold on. Let me enter that into Suno. I'm in your account. It's not used to people adding lyrics that make sense. Okay, it gave me a little feedback there. Okay, you're right. L.B. Eckelkamp Jr. 2 stories brought to us over the weekend. One of them by Steph Kukuljan of the Post-Dispatch. The other one by my boy, Jeff Folsom of the Washington Missourian. L.B. Eckelkamp land, it's called Diamond Farms. It's in Gray Summit. Gonna be looking for a little zoning help. There's be a big meeting. Bill Hennessy might even call it a big freaking meeting on January 20th. That's tomorrow, on data center regulations, some zoning changes. Will Franklin County give L.B. Eckelkamp Jr. the 3rd, hyphen the 19th, the opportunity to build data centers in Gray Summit? You say, John, cool story. We've been talking about data centers a lot. Isn't this just another guy with means thinking ahead, trying to build a data center? Yes, but I'll also point to something that Mr. Folsom highlights in his story, which is a change.org petition. Brad, get ready to get a little bit flummoxed by this. A change.org petition has gathered more than 2,000 signatures. Excuse me, how many of them are actually from people who live in Franklin County? We don't know. But the petition says that we do not want these sort of data centers in anywhere in Franklin County. Here's what the woman who put the note together, and her name is Amanda Brown. And we know with a name like Amanda, we can guarantee you she was born in the 1970s or the 1980s. She says the construction of a data center on Robertsville Road in Villa Ridge, Missouri, threatens to shatter this tranquility. She says we cherish the pristine nature of our land. We don't want data centers coming in here with all their noise and all their using resources around here. Now, what Mr. Folsom points out, what I referenced earlier, is that the change.org petition lists Missouri state officials as the quote-unquote decision makers. Now, that seems kind of strange, doesn't it? The petition lists Missouri Governor Mike Kehoe, Secretary of State Denny Hoskins, and Treasurer Vivek Malik as the, quote, decision makers in the case, even though the issue is before the county government. That was brought to us by Jeff Folsom's piece. So, Brad, if you look at a lot of change.org petitions, they're usually pretty loose with facts. I'm guessing that this woman, Amanda Brown, included the name of the governor and our Secretary of State, Denny Hoskins, and Vivek Malik as maybe a way to get attention or bring more eyeballs to this thing. Certainly now you have a local radio show talking about this petition. And of course, those elected officials have absolutely nothing to do with this data center in Franklin County. But I think this is a cool story of Mr. Eckelkamp, your friend, your advertiser, pardon me, we should point out he is an advertiser on your stations, thinking ahead and saying, why don't we use this huge plot of land that we already own? I believe it's between 400 and 500 acres that Mr. Eckelkamp owns on this plot. Why don't we use this for a data center and make a little cash? What do you think, Brad?
John, here we go again. And I know why you always freak out when I do
What are
my...
your two acronyms, Brad? What are you going to say about this? And can you tell a story that involves cell phone towers?
NIMBY, not in my backyard in caves. Okay, the crazy part of this is, first off, they got to go somewhere. You know what I mean? It's got to go somewhere. And once again, this same person that's complaining about this, if their internet is slow, oh, my internet's slow. Oh, I'm so upset. I can't download my recipes.
And we know that if your name is Amanda, you're definitely in your 40s now, and you probably have a lot of recipes you want to download.
My daughter is Amanda, and she's in her 30s.
And you know what? You were going to name her something else, and you decided to make her graduation day all about her and complain about how you didn't like her name. Go ahead, Brad.
Gabrielle was the name I loved, and I still do. The Echo Camps, and not because they're a sponsor of mine. If they didn't advertise with me, I'd say the same thing. They have been very good to the community, specifically of Washington and all of Franklin County. And the crazy part of this is, what's sort of interesting about this is there's something that everybody's missing because there already is a data center in Franklin County. Matter of fact, on the outskirts of Washington, it's either right in the outer layer of Washington, or it's just outside the Washington city limits. Do you know about this? I've even talked about this before. Do you know what data center's there already?
Where is it? Who owns it, Brad?
Mercy Hospital. Every single hospital in the Mercy chain all over the Midwest, they own hospitals in the Midwest. The hospital right there at 40 and 270, the Palace on Palace, the one out in Washington, the one in Joplin, all those hospitals, the data center is right there in Washington. Now, how do I know this? Because of the fact that when they were getting ready to finish it off, I got invited to a tour of the place. It's a big, monstrous building. And what's interesting about it is it's fascinating to me as the son of a civil engineer. It's a building within a building. It's got an outer wall that will stand like 120 mile an hour winds. It's got an inner wall that will withstand like 100 mile an hour winds. It's set up it's got two monstrous diesel generators with big underground diesel tanks. It's set up to where they actually have living quarters, where if like that would hit the rotary oscillator, as like Shelley would say.
As Shelley used to say, go ahead.
People could live there. It's a big, monstrous data center. And it's to the point where it's already there. And you know what? Do you hear anybody complaining about it? Oh my, that Mercy data center. Oh my God, it's horrible. It's terrible. The noise is terrible. Oh, they're polluting the river. It doesn't do anything. Matter of fact, the interesting part of this is this would be my second favorite question of asking people in Washington. First is when you drive across the Missouri River and on Highway 47 North and you're in Warren County, what city are you in? And they'll go, I don't know, that's unincorporated. No, it's the village of Three Creeks. Nobody knows that. And the second thing is nobody knows that data center's there. It's already there.
Well, that's fantastic. And I love the idea that you're ginning up opposition to it. So in other words, it's flying under the radar and you want people to go to a city council meeting and complain about it.
And say, tear down that data center.
Yeah, tear down that. The hospitals don't need anything.
Right.
Now, Brad, this is... All the Gold in Franklin County is the second biggest hit song that you sang, the LB Echo Camp Jr. The first one was Brother, Can You Spare a Dime?
Once again, they're good folks.
Once again.
They do a lot of things for the community. I would say this. I was going to say once again. I would say this if they weren't advertisers on the station. I've met with Buzz Echo Camp III. And by the way, he's a radio guy. He owns Tracy's station. He's the guy
Get
that owns
out of
Tracy.
here, Brad. No, he doesn't.
Yeah,
I thought Tracy bought those outright.
No,
I thought she sold so many ranches and duplexes that she actually owns the station.
No, she rents them. She leases them or whatever. Yeah.
What about Diane Jones? Does he own Diane Jones' station?
Oh yeah. They own KLPW. Yeah, they own.
Okay,
yeah.
I know. I'm leading you on here.
Right. They own those stations. And once again, Buzz has put a lot of money.
Once again,
I say kudo to Buzz because of the fact that he invested his hard-earned dollars into radio. And I don't think he's really happy on the returns, but that's a whole nother story we all have to deal with. Okay, are we done?
Yeah, and I can't wait for It's Time for Bram's Time.
That's coming up.